a state employee.
Okay.
But an assistant lecturer is one who has been recruited by the state. So that is the main difference.
Okay, thank you so much for honoring our invitation tonight. As a legal luminary, one will be wondering, your participation and your interest into all what has been going as far as the extension of the mandates, parliamentary and municipal is concerned. You have been somebody who has been very close to the news recently. Did it come as a wave of shock to you, or was it much anticipated?
Okay, Mabel, thank you very much. I'm very much concerned about the extension as a citizen of this country. As a Cameroonian, I am very conscious of my role and I am very political. Now, the extension has not come as a surprise, I think, to most Cameroonians. It is nothing surprising to me. In fact, I expected it before now. I knew that they must extend the mandate of the members of parliament. It is a game Cameroon has been doing for a very long time. So it is no shock, it's not a new game. And so when the bill was passed, we just laughed and said, of course, the usual has taken place.
It's about to happen.
The usual has taken place. It's a normal thing in Cameroon. They will always extend the mandate of members of parliament. It's a political strategy.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much. And of course, we are going to be giving you the mic again, but permit me introduce somebody who is likewise a big weight on the program tonight. Mr. Sama Abamugwa is here and he is going to be giving the program alongside Mr. Pascal the weight that it is befitting. Mr. Sama, you're welcome.
Thank you.
You are somebody who is very connected to the news, and particularly we have talked on this prior to when the bill was submitted to Parliament, and now you're one of the people who were advocating for the fact that the Parliament is a toothless bulldog and they are going to clap this into existence, and now this is it. I think during that program, a lot of people could envision that you're a prophet of doom, and you were just everything you're saying was actually a facade, but this is it happening just like you said it. Did you actually know that this was going to play out the way it is right now?
Mabel, this should be about the 8th of the 9th legislature that we have from when multi-party politics was reintroduced in Cameroon. And we have seen several times when we have had extensions. Even the legislature prior to this one, their mandate was extended, and I'm sure we have had, there was a legislature whose mandate was extended twice, extended and re-extended. And so this is not the first time. As convincing as the excuse, the official excuse given by the minister delegate at the presidency in charge of relations with the assemblies, that's Bonvin Wakata. What he said was 2025 was originally known to have been an election year with 4 elections.
Yeah, with 4 elections.
The presidential, the municipal, the legislative, and the regional elections. And that it was going to be financially cumbersome for the state to shoulder the burden of organizing 4 elections, and so there was need to postpone 2, the twin elections of municipal and legislative authorities. Very convincing, and backed up again, as you said, by Article 15, Sub 4 of our Constitution, which says in times of crisis or where circumstances do not permit that election should hold. And so the state now hides behind that proviso to say that circumstances do not warrant. In 2020, when they organized the twin elections, and in 2018, when they organized presidential elections, there were crises in the northwest and the southwest. We were in the heart of crisis when election held. And so the state, I'm sure, is using the element of unfavorable circumstances that of the absence of finances, and that there will be too much, financially speaking, for the state to organize elections. So, as officious or as official as that excuse could be, it is not surprising to anybody that it was also going to play against one of the most prominent and the most ferocious rivals of the system. Because unless and until the Constitutional Council will be seized, if you look at the other provisions of the Electoral Code and even the Constitution, which already declares or already puts the CRM party of Maurice Kamto as a non-pattern, because they do not have elected officials represented in any elective position, be it the councils, the regional council, or the Senate. So everybody knew that that was the ploy, and should I say every sensitive and alert political observer in Cameroon knew that that was the strategy that the government would use, so that Kamto, who presents himself as the most ferocious challenger of the regime, would not be eligible. And so again, as I said, it's unfortunate that we have a very predictable, a negatively predictable National Assembly, whose action can be predicted for the wrong reasons, where you expect them to act positively and proactively for the interests of their constituents. They go mute. So it actually didn't surprise me, and it simply just confirms the opinion, well, should I say opinion, the knowledge that I have about the role of our National Assembly and our Senate, which you have chosen, you are what rightly to say is a toothless bulldog. So that's it.
All right, I think that was a powerful outro there, as somebody has rightly said. Ladies and gentlemen, in as much as you have the zeal to participate in today's program, there's going to be a time allocated where I'm going to be picking on your messages and reading. Somebody says, Mr. Sama with a powerful outro. Thank you. 180 members elected into parliament, the MPs. And we have hardly seen a situation where a bill is submitted to Parliament and it comes void of it being, executed into existence. Why? Is it because the CPDM holds the majority seat?
Yeah, Mabel, I like the way you have put the question, and I like the fact that you have given the answer. Once a bill is submitted to the National Assembly, and if the bill favors the government, of course we should be assured that the bill must be voted. It must be voted. It is the same thing like the laws that we have in this country. You see, Cameroon is a state that has very good laws. It has very good laws, but the problem lies with their implementation. And so if you look at the reality in the country, you realize that the government will implement a law that favors it. And so when a bill is submitted to Parliament and it favors the state, that bill must be voted favorably.
When you say it favors the state, how does this in any way favor the state, especially when we are at the brink of financial struggles and all of that? So how is this? Is it going to be fair, or would you say biased to say that it favors the state?
You just heard what Mr. Sama said. The justification given by the minister delegate at the presidency in charge
of legislation
or relations with the assemblies. Mm-hmm. To him, 2025 has several elections.
4, precisely.
4 elections. And so to lighten the electoral calendar and ensure proper organization, there is need to organize these elections in 2025 and 2026. So 2 should be moved to 2026. So you realize that it favors the government, but it has exposed a lot. The first thing is that it has exposed the unpreparedness of the state. It means that all along the state has not been prepared. It has not been prepared to organize these 4 elections. And so it favors the state, and it has given time for the government to re-strategize, because they are afraid of the coalition. They are afraid of Professor Maurice Kamto, like Mr. Sama said, and the other political parties that are rallying behind the MRC, and equally the massive registration. You saw the outing of the minister in charge of, or the minister of territorial administration. So they are afraid of the massive registration into the electoral list, and so they need time. They need time to re-strategize. And
he's made several outings recently. Which of these outings are you actually placing your finger on?
I'm talking about the outing that addresses registration.
Okay.
Because he tried to caution, but to me I see it as a warning that campaign for electoral registration should be carried out in line with the laws and the principles of the state. So you see some element of fear. So they are afraid that 2025 may not be guaranteed. And so there is need to look for time and re-strategize. So where do they find solace? They go to section 15 sub 4 of the Constitution and build their arguments there. That the section provides that the President of the Republic can, after consulting the President of the Constitutional Council, the Bureau of the National Assembly, and the Bureau of the Senate, extend the mandate of members of Parliament in situations of serious crisis or where the circumstances so warrant. So you see, that is where they are finding their justification. Even though some persons are saying that there is no crisis, but the government is trying to justify that the circumstance warrants the extension. And what is that circumstance? That 2025 has 4 elections. It is going to drain
now
the state.
those saying that there is no crisis, is it going to be out of sheer emotions, Mr. Sama, or out of sheer disgust for the states? And is there an element of obscurity, even when we know that it is a gigantic task for the state to actually man and supervise or carry out 4 elections? I mean, this is not a small fry. We are talking about regional, municipal, legislative, and presidential.
Maybe that's why I said that the government found a very convincing argument, behind which he was able to hide its shame and its deceit. That's why I said there is the official justification for the postponement, the extension and the postponement. But we know the official justifications or motivations. There is that which is official and there is that which is officious. And so I am shifting away from the official, which is convincing, to the officious, which is what we have not been told, and which is what we are debating here as the actual motivation. Let me go back to what Doctor said, what Barrister said, that this act has come to expose the government. No, it has not exposed. It has simply rather further exposed the caricature nature of our electoral system, our electoral system, where I mean, not only the electoral system, the administrative system. Maybe I have always said on your platform here that we are governed, or those who govern us practice what I call governance by ambush. Ambush means that they take you by surprise, or they give you the impression that everything is happening, they themselves are caught unawares. Doctor said something that it like gives the impression that Cameroon or the government wasn't planned, didn't know. And this is the only country where it's like the things are always done at a makeshift pace. Maybe Boya was supposed to host 50th anniversary celebrations of our independence and reunification. That was supposed to be in 2011, I think. 2011. But we finally celebrated it here about so many years after. About 4 or 5 years after. And shamelessly, without shame, the head of state at Bongo Square there said in English, better late than never. Why must we always be late? So he was justifying that even though we are late, but at least we are celebrating rather than not celebrating. Why can't we celebrate on time? Like it takes place in other countries. Maybe by the time Americans go to the polls in November 2024, they already know the exact date of the next presidential elections in 2028. Exact date. Date in terms of day and month. But here we run a system where everything happens to us by surprise. It is like we just get up one day and realize that, hey, our 50th anniversary of our independence is tomorrow, and we start making makeshift arrangements here and there. Hey, it's like we have 4 elections in 2025. What do? Then we start making adjustments, or we start improvising. So it is governance by ambush and improvisations. And that is what takes place in every situation. Maybe let me just divert a bit. The certainty about school resumption in Cameroon is as certain as December 25th every year. Everybody knows that across the world that December 25th is Christmas Day. So there is 100% certainty about that. The resumption of schools in our school system in this country is certain, that the first term begins in September. It is certain. But maybe how do you justify that we are in July, next month will be August, September, October, November, and the Minister of Secondary Education only comes in and does appointments and transfers of personnel in December and January. Appointments and transfers of teachers are done 5-6 months after school resumption. PTAs have to start making adjustments. Teachers are transferred, some of them are not replaced. Principals are removed when they have already collected money and wasted, especially a principal who knows that I'm going on retirement. So he collects and uses, the next principal comes, the budget has been exhausted. So you find a country where people, it's like they get you up from sleep. You have maybe prepared for an exam. You have prepared for an exam, and then you like go back to bed and doze off, and then they wake you up that it is 7 o'clock. You get up, helter-skelter, and you start rushing around without planning, without preparation. This issue of elections, that's where I am comforted by what Barrister said. That it has exposed us to show our level of unpreparedness. But it is historical, Doctor. It is historical. But then this again, is not the first time. Because by the time they were putting a cap on the previous election, they ought to have known when the next election cycle is coming.
But of course we knew.
That is
2025.
So, it shouldn't be taken as an excuse to justify that it will be too cumbersome. That should have been taken. That should have been factored in their budget and their plans already. Okay. But they have failed to do that. That is why I have said the official justification comforts those who want to be carried away by the system. But the official justification, which is what we have not been given, which we know is the reality on the ground, is what may set this country ablaze.
Okay, I'll be coming back to you for you to, sweep from under the rug the things that will set this country
No, no,
ablaze
no.
in
That
case it
might,
is okay,
if
might
not well handled.
okay, if not well handled. But I think there is a degree of obscurity in what you're saying. Well, I'm going to be giving you the microphone again, but then, Mr. Pascal, cognizant that you've been marrying the news of recent, and you have been pretty nosy over this mandate extension and all of that, do you think it comes as a motivation to a lot of people at this time?
Mabel, I don't think it comes as a motivation to the citizens. It may motivate those who are sympathizers of the ruling party. It may motivate the members of parliament and their family members, because we saw jubilations everywhere. They were so happy for the extension. It may motivate them.
And the municipal councillors.
And the municipal councillors. It may motivate them because, of course, it's another 1 year of business. But for the citizens, it does not motivate, because what Cameroonians want as of now is change. They want change. And that is why if you look at the registration ongoing into the electoral list, you realize that so many youths have taken interest. In fact, you see youth campaigning, begging, and even convincing their fellow youth to ensure that they get their names on the electoral list. Because what we are praying for is change. And the Cameroonians cannot wait to see that change happen. And so 2025 is the year everybody has said, well, let us go and see the change. And now when you come and you tell
But when we talk about change, you have to pardon me with the gist, but I think it's a little bit necessary. When we talk about change, is it change in the people that have been sitting in positions, or change in the system, the way things are done? Because sometimes people clamor for this change, but they're a little bit oblivious about what the change that they need is all about. Is it a replacement, a cabinet reshuffle, so to say, or change in systems?
Well, Mabel, we need a change in systems. In fact, in leadership, because it is not about cabinet reshufflement. I mean, we have had several cabinet reshufflement in this country, and nothing has actually changed positively, especially as the life and welfare of the citizens is concerned. Nothing has really changed. What we want is a change in leadership, a change in positions, because the people that will be in those positions will influence the system. And that is why you see that the system in Cameroon has not really changed, the political system, because once you elect the same persons who have the same mentality and the same ideas, they replicate. They keep doing one and the same thing over and over, and they keep expecting different results. And so if you put the same persons with the same mentalities and ideas, they will maintain the system. And so we want a situation wherein we should put new persons. We need that new impetus. We should put new persons into the system, and these persons will decode the system and put in place a new system. So that is a change that we need, and the change must be in leadership. Because if you elect the municipal councillors, if you succeed in changing the municipal councillors, you don't change the parliamentarians, you don't change, say, the head of state, for example. I'm not saying that it must be changed. I'm just saying that if you don't change the head of state, then nothing will happen. Okay. If you don't change the parliamentarians and those who are in Yaoundé, nothing will actually happen, because they will dictate.
All right. Talking about change, I think we need to change hands a little on the panel. We have been joined by Mr. Dieudonné Ekana, who is a master's student at the University of Buea, and he is also a sociopolitical analyst. And today he's going to be giving us, weight of his intellect vis-a-vis the political topics that we have on board. Mr. Jedone, you're very much welcome.
Thank you, Elephantly. I want to appreciate once again the panel, my elder brother, Mr. Sama. Glad again to meet you the second time in person. Barrister, I think we have been on set once. I think the topic is prompt and timely because I think the country in the political atmosphere is very tense and is heavy. And if caution is not taken, I think we might find cracks as it has already been happening in some parts of the country. We all, as victims of the circumstances in Northwest and Southwest, we equally have cracks in the extreme North, we have it in the East. I think the politicians and the lawmakers in this country, permit me use this word, they are mad. Mad means doing one and the same thing, expecting different results. I want to ask the question, where are they carrying Cameroonians to? Why they postpone? I heard of the word, there's crisis. Can this word crisis be defined to Cameroonians? Because it's not an absolute, it's an absolute term, it's not relative. Is it economic crisis or the war crisis? What is the crisis? Is it financial crisis? Let us tell Cameroonians that we are postponing this election 1 year because of crisis 2, municipal and parliamentary. The 1 year deal for the parliament, the regional councillors, the Senate. Maybe that is a lot of money. That is a lot of money. The Cameroonian citizens are crying foul that those who call to represent us are killing us. One of the most painful aspects in life is not who.
But the minister delegate at the presidency in charge of relations with the assemblies said that it's because of financial constraints. So is that not reasonable enough why these two elections be pushed to next year? And what impediment does it cause to even Cameroonians? If we have two elections pushed and the most envisaged or the most hoped for, which is a presidential election, is going to be happening next year, don't you think it's a little bit satisfactory?
Mabel, it's not a little bit satisfactory. It's a big error. It's a fatal mistake. Why do I say so? I think this is a pre-calculated attempt by the regime in power with their instrument, which they have the majority in the House of Assembly. It's a calculated attempt to sideline some of the striking and threatening oppositions. Mabel, because I can remember the last parliamentary election, Maurice Kamto did not take part. He boycotted the election. And if you will reason with me and the PRC, which has only one member of parliament, if you reason with me, you have to realize that Maurice Kamto is on a tight corner with MRC.
But all hope is not lost, is it?
No, Mabel, he needs 300 signatures. Mabel, and these signatures are coming from who? From elite. Who are the elite? We have parliamentarians, we have senators, we have first-class chiefs. And if you will calculate this, most of the first-class chiefs are members of Senate under appointment by the president. 90%, about 96% of the House of Assembly is under the CPDM. Who will have to sign that document, Mabel? This is a clear attempt to tell us that we are not on the safe side with the government and an institution that was supposed to cater for the masses. We decided to give them our vote. Go and represent us. The Mabel, they are stabbing us not at the back, in the front. This is what I can say. It is I don't know the right word that I can, because they have the CPDM parliamentarians who are voting this bill or who are accepting this 1 year postponement. I want to ask. I can remember 2018, 2019, 2017. The opposition parliamentarian in the House of Assembly claim, let's bring Anglophone crisis as an agenda, even a sub-agenda. Even CPDM parliamentarian from Northwest and Southwest rejected that idea. Now a bill to postpone the whole 454 members.
If this is you trying
unanimously.
Now, if this is you trying to expose the weaknesses of the parliament, but I think that it's not crystal clear.
Yes.
Now, what weakness are you trying to project that the parliament have?
the parliament has as a weakness not having the masses whom they are there to protect, to bring laws that will satisfy them. Maybe to bring laws that will make the common man say, okay, I am not making a mistake next time to cast my vote on you. They are not doing that representative. And the funniest thing is, I think they are too self-centered, because maybe we live in a community where we are too informed. Gone are those days where important information used to be hiding from us. But we are saying that the parliament as an institution to protect the masses are killing the masses with laws which are not by 1% favorable to the people. That is where they have a lot of weakness.
Okay, Mr. Pascal, judging already that the bill has been adopted, let us look at some of these implications that this may have. Do you think it plays down on the psychology of young Cameroonians whom at this point have been desiring to cast their votes in the ballot box? Do you think at this point it plays down, it trickles down on the credibility even on the upcoming elections? Do you think that it's a way to shoot militants of the MRC on their leg? What are the sides? What implications does this have?
Yes, maybe like I said before now, most Cameroonians are disappointed with the extension. They are very disappointed because what they want is change. And they know that that change will be effected through the ballot box. But now, somehow their dreams for 2025 have been shattered. Because in 2025, they will not be going to the poll to decide who becomes a municipal councillor and eventually a Lord Mayor and who becomes a member of parliament. And so they are demotivated.
Okay, now, which, if parliament would have, adopted a postponement, which would you have rather be postponed?
To me, I'm not even in the position, or I don't adopt the position that it should be extended. Just like what Mr. Sama said. When the elections were conducted, presidential elections, in 2018, the state already knew that the next elections will be in 2025. When the legislative elections and the municipal was conducted in 2020, the state already knew that the next will be 2025. They ought to have factored that out. And if they already knew that the next elections will be 2025, why wait till July 2024 to now extend? They are behaving as if they are just surprised, like it's just coming very new to them that 4 elections will be taking place in 2025. But they knew from the beginning. And truly speaking, I don't think we lack the resources to organize 4 elections in 2025.
Let us check the veracity of that. Mr. Sama, in case along the line there is a contingency in a third world country like Cameroon, in case and cognizant that we are facing a lot of, under the political atmosphere and all of that, and let's say there is a contingency, and many people are seeing this extension to mean that they are grounding the MRC. We've had this on the lips of so many Cameroonians. As a patriotic Cameroonian and somebody who is very observant with the moves of the government and saying or of the opinion that they are very predictable, which would you have rather been extended? Should it have been the presidential and the regional, while giving the municipal and the parliamentary a chance?
Why even go that way? Why even go that late? Even talk of postponement?
Contingency.
Because I don't even see a contingent situation, as you may want to put it. there was COVID-19, but elections held in 2020, even in the heart of COVID.
Heart of the crisis too.
In the heart of the crisis and in the heart of COVID, elections held. COVID that was universal. They were able to organize elections peacefully and declare results. In the heart of COVID that grounded business universally, we went on and organized elections. So what is the contingent factor now that would necessitate? But if I were to do you a favor by answering your question the way you have posted, I would have preferred the presidential, which to me is more of a non-event, and asked that the municipal elections be held so that I can have a mayor who would clear that spot of water in front of the GC Ibot. I am a resident of Boya. So that I would have had a proactive mayor who would clear that pool of water that is causing accidents at the GC Ibot entrance there, who would have also cleared that one at my 17 there, who would have put maybe street lights at Malingo Junction and Checkpoint Junction so that policemen do not control traffic in darkness and you cannot even see them controlling traffic. So I would have preferred that they postpone presidential election, which is not really an election that concerns me particularly as a resident of Boya, because I'm looking at the.
But as a Cameroonian, it concerns you. This is a little bit derailing.
No. I am looking at elections of proximity. Read my lips. Elections of proximity. That which is closest to me first is the one that I live in day by day. The one that has to do with waste disposal and waste management, Izakam and the
And don't you think that the presidential elections may come to correct all of this, Mr.
We have had presidential elections that have instead made situations in this country worse because it has not improved. So I would have preferred that the election that would have been held should have been the municipal, because it's a local election. Local means around me. That's why I call it an election of proximity. So that I would have preferred that the municipal elections hold, so that we even have the opportunity of bringing in a more proactive mayor who would make this town cleaner, brighter, and more livable and livable than talking about maintaining a presidential election, which is a general election, national elections, and whose outcome may not really, has never really impacted on my life.
But can.
Well, that is a possibility, as you say. So, generally, I would have preferred that the local elections, which, again, as I said, is an election of proximity, hold, so that I can, first of all, as a resident of Boya, have a better quality of life.
Mr. Sama, in your outing this evening, are you of the position that the voters card, while we try to beat around the bush, but the message is clear, are you of the position that the voters card has no voice in all of the elections? And are you discouraging Cameroonians? And, you calling it a non-event, that would mean that it is a mistake encouraging Cameroonians to go in for the voters' card because it is not going to speak loudest in the ballot boxes.
You are taking me down another road. But if I were to follow you down that stretch of road, maybe let us look at two things: the real and the ideal. The real is that which obtains. The ideal is that which we expect and we hope for. I hope and I wish for an ideal situation where every vote casted matters. That's my hope. That every vote that is casted or everybody who registers is given a free chance to vote freely and vote at no cost of his, and so that we can have the ratings that we expect. Now, asking me whether the voters card has a value in Cameroon, that's another debate.
Has a voice.
Whether it has a voice or a value, does it have, maybe, between you and I?
Does it not? And don't you think it may not have had, because over the years, Cameroonians have reflected a laggard mentality towards approaching the ballot?
No. Just let me come before you give Barrister the mic. Voter apathy is the word. And voter apathy, nobody is born to dislike elections. Voter apathy is not a human gene. It is not in the human DNA. It is a social construct. That is the product of the environment and the elections and the manner in which elections have been organized. Voter apathy or voter disinterestedness, when people do not see why they should vote, is not a human DNA. And so, should we not be able to address the factors that have been responsible why people have lost interest in voting, such that they now think that their vote doesn't count? The factors are sociological, they are anthropological, they are not biological, they are not genetic. And unless
don't you think that it plays down on the
sit to honestly analyze those socio-anthropological factors that are responsible for people not wanting to vote,
Mr. Sama,
then we shall not be addressing the
I
issue.
feel like you're derailing my question.
I am not.
No,
I
feel like you're derailing my question, and I'm still going to ask the question. The question is, over the years, don't you think that voters' apathy and the fact that Cameroonians are a little bit laggard approaching the ballot boxes has actually played down on the effect of elections? That is the question.
And they have, truly as you have said, Cameroonians have lost interest in elections. And the question now would have been, what are the factors responsible? And what is the way forward? Because, as he said, I heard him say, our parliamentarians or our lawmakers have been those who do the same thing repeatedly, expecting different results. And Cameroonians have done the same thing repeatedly, expecting a change. And they have now seen that change is not forthcoming. So they don't want to be as foolish as their parliamentarians. Maybe use that word. But again, as you always know, I take responsibility for my choice of words. So it is not on the shoulders of ITV. So Cameroonians, the ordinary Cameroonian who thinks that he has done the same thing over and over and the results have been the same, has now elected disinterest. That I don't want to be called a fool like my parliamentarians are. So let me leave them with their elections, let them appoint themselves, let them nominate themselves and do whatever they want to do. And unfortunately, it turns around and plays to the advantage of the same gangsters in the system. Because maybe the last general elections or the last municipal elections in Batimbo, in my constituency, the number of persons who voted for the sitting mayor now were not up to 300. We're not up to 300. I mean, a subdivision of not less than 80,000 persons. But the total vote count for the mayor was not up to 300. For the guy who sits now as a member of parliament, he did not have up to 200 votes in the whole subdivision. But again, so that because people don't go and people get disinterested, the system comforts itself and still carries the day. And with all of this, do you expect me, Mabel, to say that much can really be achieved in this country through the ballot? No, I said ballot. I did not say bullet. I said ballot. So don't be scared. Do we really think that
but
we are right at that level where people can really think that I vote and my vote matters? We are far from that. It's unfortunate.
Well, while Mr. Sama is trying to act a wet blanket on the show, maybe by giving the realities of his intentions, Mr. Pascal, you had a lot to cue in from what Mr. Ekane was saying, but let us look at the adoption of the bill again. And has there been a point, or do you think there is ever going to be a possibility or a time wherein a bill is going to be passed to Parliament and they are going to stand in disfavor of that bill? Do you ever see that forthcoming?
Yes, Mabel, change is the only permanent thing. I think that there are two possibilities where the parliament in the future will reject a bill. The first possibility will be where the bill does not favor the government, where the government is not very much interested. Don't forget that the President of the Republic can propose a bill, 1/3 members of the National Assembly can do same. If a bill is proposed and it does not favor the government, then I think that the bill will not be adopted. That is the first possibility. The second possibility, or the second situation where Parliament will reject a bill, will be when this present Parliament doesn't exist. In other words, where the parliamentarians that we have today are no longer there, and where we have opposition as a majority. If the opposition parties have the majority, then they will be able to speak the minds of the citizens.
Now, for the last 1 hour, almost 1 hour, you have been talking about, or directly, saying that this extension favors the government. May we know in what capacity, in what area does it favor the government? Is it looking at the realities of sidelining the MRC, which is a staunch competition at this point in time?
Maybe I already answered that question. I said this extension is a political maneuver, and it aims at weakening the political parties, that is the opposition. Last time when we were here, we were talking about youth participation, and just like what Mr. Sama said, I need to say something about that. I said here on this platform that we shouldn't be looking at youth participation as youth should participate without looking at the causes. What has caused the youth not to participate? It comes back to the question, why is it that youths or Cameroonians are disinterested in voting?
Mm-hmm.
It is because of things like this. It is because of things like this. Because we can easily predict the government. And if you look at the actions that the government take, it is always in their favor. And just like the minister delegate tried to justify that they don't have the financial means. And so you realize that it favors the government, just like I've said, because it is a political strategy to remain in power. Okay, they have postponed the elections of municipal councillors and members of parliament. What about regional councillors? Their elections have been postponed. So who are those who are going to elect the regional councillors? Who are those who are going to elect the regional councillors? Of course, the current municipal councillors. So they will just go to the poll and then repeat what they did. They will put the same persons in the same positions, and then they will tell Cameroonians that this is a democratic country. We are living a democracy. We are in a democratic country. We are going to elect regional councillors. But who are those who are going to elect? Persons whose mandates have expired and then now extended. So you realize that it is a strategy. Okay, let's look at the MRC, for example. How many municipal councillors do they have? They don't. So they should count themselves out. I mean the militants, the sympathizers of MRC, as far as the regional elections is concerned, regional councillors. It means they will not have any regional councillor because they don't have any municipal councillor. So it is a political maneuver. It is a conscious
attempt,
strategy. You see, the government is, let me put it in quote, smart. They do everything to remain in power, and they care less about the citizens. They care less about what the citizens say, because trust me, we are going to condemn, we are going to talk, but nothing will happen. And just like Mr. Sama said, if it is not managed carefully, then there may be serious problems. You see, that is why I summarize the electoral process in Cameroon, just like you were asking that, what about the vote? Don't they have value? The votes have value. Don't they have a voice? They have a voice. But you see, you can have a voice, but your voice is not heard. The citizens have the right to vote. When they vote, they have a voice, but the voice is not heard. The votes are counted, but the numbers are not registered.
Okay, let us see if all of this extension speaks very little or goes to injure the Constitution in any way. Mr. Ikane, do you think the provision is a little bit obscure or, ties in favor of the regime, by crisis as stipulated on the Constitution? Do you think it's lame? Because at a certain point, it leaves Cameroonians to wonder what kind of crisis at this point in time are we talking about?
By the Constitution, as we have earlier been saying, the two panelists, Mr. Sama and the barrister, in papers there are good laws. But where do we find ourselves? The implementation and the total respect of this law, that is where we are totally absent.
Would you say this law wasn't respected in this case?
Maybe we already have a date for the election, 2025. The president has taken, and his team, let me put it that way, has taken upon themselves, with violence of the masses who are the owner of this power and the Constitution, to change things as they have been doing. Like Constitution, the head of state has, I think, certain article with respect to the circumstances as the minister declared. But my problem is, did he or the team, the parliament as lawmakers, did they take any prerequisite to find out from the population the postponement of this election, will it matters to the people?
Okay, I think we have a couple of reactions here. I'll read on your reactions and then we move further with the program. Kamto made a big mistake to boycott in 2020 elections, and the Cameroon government is simply taking advantage of this. We are all aware. This is Chinjo writing for Muya. This is such a rich panel and I'm enjoying myself. Thank you. And how is Muya doing this evening? This one says, Cameroon election from Jeko Zhang. Cameroon election result is out already. I said it with my full chest. My regard to Mr. Sama on the panel. I am writing somewhere from Cameroon. Okay, and I hope you're doing well this evening. Thanks for the program, Mabel. Please, Guy, let us share and tell the panelists that they need the most loudest microphone. This country needs about 10 of them. Oh, that's quite funny. For the men. Thank you, and I hope I pronounced that real well. This one says the game plan is already known. Why shift it? Why wait till now to shift it? Whatever this means, this is from Akose Rene from Boya Town. Thank you, Akose Rene from Boya Town. This country would never change in respect to whether or not the ballots have a voice. Mabel, the ballot has zero voice, according to what Mr. Sama is saying. I queue in 1,000. How many zeros is this? Anyways, 100%. Eyambe Darlington from Mamfe. How is Mamfe doing this evening? Thank you, and a lot more. Why are people thinking and making this an MRC issue? Why do they think there have been a time in the past where elections were postponed, where the mandates were postponed? So why is the idea of, injuring or grounding Professor Maurice Kamto so loud and it's the interest of almost everybody?
Maybe, as I said before, this is not the first instance where we've seen the mandates of elected officials extended. but we are judging situations contextually. And each period, each generation, each epoch in the history of the life of a country has its contextual underbearings. And so we do not judge a particular period within the context of factors and events of another period. And so it is no news to anybody that the greatest threat under the canopy of an opposition political party to the regime in place now is the CRA-MRC. And just like what your viewers have said, the party might have made an error, and the government is taking advantage of that error. The government is taking advantage of that error. Again, I recognize the fact that the official excuse given by the minister delegate was convincing for those who may not be under the anointing of the context of our times. But if you were to look at things beyond what you see on the surface, then there is more to it than the financial burden or cumbersomeness as was put forward by the government. And that is why we think, do not, unless you do not consider the positions that some of us play here as political analysts, because we analyze the facts and the context and bring out to the fore that which the ordinary eye will not see. And that's what we're doing. And
without emotions.
Without emotions. With facts on the table. So, excuse me, Mabel, you asked Barrister a question. And very brilliantly he responded. Do we envisage a period in this country where Parliament can live to the standards of our expectations? That this is a Parliament? Because basically, Parliament has two basic functions. The function of legislature, which is making laws, that's voting bills, debating, voting them, and the function of oversight. Oversight means checking and controlling government action. Where Parliament can tell government that no, this bill will not go through because it is not population friendly, it is not citizen friendly. This finance ordinance that you have introduced to increase the stamp duty rates for ID cards is not friendly to our citizens, so it will not go through. Can we have a Parliament worthy of its onions in this country? Barrister said something. If only the bill that is proposed to them is not favorable to the government, which means that if that bill comes from the opposition, that's a private member's bill from the opposition, like SDF today proposes a bill to amend the electoral code, and that the mandate of the President of the Republic can only be one time renewable once, it will not go through because it is coming from the opposition and it doesn't favor the government. But another instance that might have escaped his legendary intelligence is the fact that where government itself proposes a bill that is not favorable to the pecuniary benefits of the parliamentarians, it will not go through. I have always known where a bill comes from government on an issue that removes food from the mouth of the lazy parliamentarian, that bill will not go through. Maybe
a case in point.
Maybe I am one of those.
Mr. Sama, a case in point.
Yes, I am one of those who has always said, by the strong presidentialist system that we have in this country, where everything emanates from the president, and secondly from the presidency, because there's the president and the presidency, where everything comes from the president and the presidency. We have a hyper-presidentialist system. We don't even need a National Assembly. These 180 layabouts do nothing for this government. They do nothing for the citizens. Because whatever they claim they are doing, the hyper-presidentialist system that we have, headed by one president God, will still do it without them.
Okay, now.
Now, listen to what I'm saying. Unfortunately, maybe it will embarrass you. The law in the electoral code and even in their standing orders of the National Assembly governing the criteria to be a member of parliament, a lawmaker, somebody who has to conceive, debate, criticize, analyze, and vote laws, does not have any academic attachment. The only thing that the law provides is that you should be literate in either English or French. And that's why at the end of the day, we have illiterates in the parliament. Layabouts who don't even have the intellectual IQ, the academic IQ. Apart from a few of them, we have a bunch of layabouts there who don't even have the acumen to analyze a law. And those are the people that you expect that when the technocrats, the technical advisors at the presidency, PhD holders, professors, technocrats of professional technocrats, when they sit and they write a bill, they send to parliament, those lazy women there who spend their time sleeping would have what it takes to criticize, analyze, and reject them.
That's what the law said. But if you want to go feasibly, if you really want to go,
and that's why I am
how
saying,
many of them are lame?
One other reason why laws would hardly be contested is that a majority of those that the system sends them, it sends them for window dressing, not to do the actual work of legislation, which is lawmaking. Lawmaking is a craft, is a science. It is not something that you learn by apprenticeship. No be carpentry, no be shaving, no be salon work. It is something that it has to do with acumen, intellectual acumen. And when you take somebody, and the only criterion that you give is that it should be literate in either English or French.
That's what is on paper, Mr.
And
Tamba, but is that what is?
But that's what I'm telling you. Maybe, let me give you an anecdote. Between 2002 and 2004, I was a student teacher in the Higher Teachers Training College in Yaoundé, ENS. My roommate had a friend from Dian who was the driver of one of the parliamentarians from Dian. When they come in November and they give them the voluminous finance bill, more than 1,000 pages. That bill will be sleeping with us in our room while the parliamentarian is in Hotel de Député, snoring. The bill is at the back of the car. We will have access to the bill when she is there sleeping. By her academic qualification, I have respect for my primary school teacher. She was a primary school teacher with no high school qualification. And then you take a bill prepared by professors of law and economics, and you give a primary school grade 1 graduate to read and dissect and know the technicalities of the law and vote. That's why I'm saying that the quality of the so-called lawmakers that we have defeats the purpose of us ever having a parliament worthy of its onions, because a majority of the caliber that the system chooses, it is not by error. The system chooses, especially those of the CPDM. The system chooses those that it thinks it can easily crush, who have little or nothing to say in terms of opposition or criticism. And that is why I add my voice to what he said. We will hardly have a situation where a bill will come from government and this parliament, with the quality of parliamentarians that we have, a majority of them, who will have what it takes. What do they even understand? Can you criticize what you don't master? Can you criticize what you don't know?
Okay.
It's impossible.
We take on a few reactions and then we add a voice to the second topic on the table. Judging by the viewed from my perspective, the extension could be seen as a political maneuver aimed at weakening and disqualifying Kamto from the next presidential election. The MRC, having boycotted the 2020 legislative and municipal elections, currently does not have any MP or municipal councillor and therefore cannot nominate a candidate for the 2025 presidential election. from Ambe Valentine. Thank you so much, Ambe Valentine.
I'll have a correction to what Mr. Ambe has just said. Okay. I'm sure it's my friend Apostle Ambe Valentine from Douala, Dr. Apostle Ambe Valentine. No, there is a way out for the MRC. No, the second option, which is in the text, which says that you can come as a private candidate. No, independent candidate. No. Do not be surprised by the fact that there is a certain Honorable Nincho. Nincho was formerly of the SDF, who has been dismissed by the SDF. Mm-hmm. What if Nincho now tomorrow buys a cat for the MRC, and that I am an MRC militant now? He moves with his parliamentary authority to that party. There are municipal councillors of the SDF who have been dismissed and who are pro-Kamto, who have manifested that they are pro-Kamto. And so by the time they choose now to say, okay, I am a card-carrying militant of the MRC, it means that they have taken their mandates as, because in...
What's the point?
In Cameroon, once you are elected as a municipal councillor, or as a member of parliament, your party cannot dismiss you from that position. Your party can only sack you as a militant, but you remain a parliamentarian or a municipal councillor till the expiration of your mandate. Okay. We have seen cases, the mayor of Babisi, the mayor of Campbell, who were dismissed by the SDF, but they remain in position until the expiration of their mandate.
Okay.
So it is very possible. That's why I'm saying that the presupposition by Dr. Apostle Ambe Valentine doesn't hold, because there is a way out for MRC to recruit militants. The law doesn't say that you must have been elected through that particular party, but that you can show that this party does not have a militant who is in an elected position. But if Nincho now joins MRC and shows his card, it means that he is a militant of that party. If the other municipal election...
So how does that fuel Kamto now? And
no, it means that no matter what the government is struggling to do to block him from standing, Kamto still has options.
Okay.
He still has options, and there are many.
But daunting options.
No, I don't even see them as daunting.
Okay, the president of the Cameroon Party for National Reconciliation, PCRN, Honorable Cabral Libi, is quoted by BBC as saying, "We voted against, but we are in the minority." He added that the postponement gives the impression of unpreparedness on the parts of the government. This is from Yusuf Nganji, all the way from Bamenda. Thank you, Yusuf. He goes ahead by saying there are untold truths behind extension of MP's mandate. Mr. Sama Abua. His name is Mr. Sama Abang. Thank you, Mugwa. Thank you, Mr. Sama Abang Mugwa.
I like that.
Okay, so this is from Mr. Yusuf, all the way from Bamenda. Thank you. This one says politics in Cameroon is a foul play. Cameroon's Biya has extended the mandate just to quash opposition in vote. President's party hold 150 to 180 seats in parliament. I laugh out loud. Paul Biya, 91st, is Africa's second longest serving leader. I don't know how this tallies, but thank you so much, Mirabella Amu, all the way from the Northwest region. Thank you so much, Mirabella. I don't know what the first point and the second point is saying, but thank you for your reaction. Mr. Pascal, there is a lot you've been jotting, a lot you have to say. Let us put a crown on the first topic before we head over to the next. What do you have to say vis-a-vis, the reactions that you've gotten, and maybe you want to cue in from where Mr. Sama, or from what he has been saying, picking holes, if at all, in his speech?
Yes, okay. Maybe after listening to the reactions and listening to what Mr. Sama has said, and what I've been saying here is that in a summary, the extension is a political maneuver. And like I said before now, the extension has shattered the dreams of so many Cameroonians, because the intention has been to cause a change, positive change, come 2025, now we are being told to wait till 2026. And of course, like all what we have been saying here, that it is very demotivating and it is bad as far as democracy is concerned. It is bad on the part of the government, it is bad for the citizens, it is bad for democracy and democratic principles. Just like we have said here, most persons are disinterested in voting. I mean, maybe some of us, till date, from primary school, we have one answer to the same question. Who is the Speaker of the National Assembly? We wrote the same name through primary school, wrote the same name through secondary school. We are still writing the same name. And if that question comes, I mean the question that they asked me when I was in class 1, if they ask me that question, the answer is the same. Who is the Speaker of the National Assembly? Kabayege Jibwe. Same answer till date. Who is the President of the Republic? The same. Some persons were giving birth, he was president, they have even died. They have even given birth to their own children. The children are writing the same answers. So my children will be writing the same answers that I wrote. So if you look at those things, you equally realize that in Cameroon, there are few families who have been in government till date. Very few families. We have an example in Kumba. The late Senator von Mukete, when he died, Biya appointed a son. We have the example of the late Senator Ibrahim Mumunjoya. When he died, Biya he appointed a son as a senator. So it is as if just very few families in Cameroon have what it takes to govern this country. Like just few families. And so when you look at those things, you realize that it is very demotivating. Why should I vote? My friend that I know from 5 years till date, I know the friend, I know their compound. No family member there has ever gotten an appointment in the government. That friend is the same. The family is still suffering till date. My neighbors that I knew them 20 years ago, I have gone to that area, they are in the same situation. The man who is running a provision store of maybe 5 Parle-G biscuits now has 3. So he has even consumed his capital, he can no longer get 5. So you realize that these things are very demotivating. They are very demotivating and we needed a change. Cameroonians have decided that no, let us see if our votes will count. And what do? You shatter their dreams, you extend. By 2026, some persons will not even be interested again. That is a strategy. Some persons will not be interested. And the government has equally seen the coalition that opposition political parties are putting in place. And so they want to destabilize. Let me tell you, Mabel, before 2026, you are going to see what this country is going to do, or the government. They are going to cause a lot of disunity between political parties. So that by 2026, there will be no strong coalition. And like I said, and I will say it again, that in Cameroon, as of now, we don't yet have an opposition party. We have parties who are not in power.
Don't you think this is a slap to the face of the SDF and the MRC who have worked so hard to print,
I may just add to what Robert said.
Let him learn, Mr. Sama. Let him learn. He started it. He has started the waters. He has started the waters.
I just want to borrow him my language. We have parties in the opposition which are not opposition.
So, like I said,
we have parties in the opposition which are not opposition parties.
So, like I said, Mr. Sama, my position is that we don't even have opposition parties. We do not even have parties in the opposition. To me, we have parties that are not in government and they are not doing anything to be in government. It is not a slap. maybe to SDF, to MRC. I think the parties, it is a call for them to re-strategize. You see, most of us...
Okay, now by saying that there is no opposition party, what does that mean in clear terms? What does it mean?
What it means is that as of now, we have a single party that will win the next elections and the next and the next, and that is CPDM. Parties that we call opposition parties, they are not truly opposition parties. They are not strategizing. What are they doing? Let's look at 2018. It was few days to the election, the voting, that Barrister Keremuna decided to maybe coalesce. In fact, he pushed force to MRC. He gave MRC the support that, okay, let's go in for MRC. But that did not count for anything. It did not change any situation. If you look at the political parties, they are there. But the truth is that some of the militants of the opposition parties, as we call them, are strong militants of the CPDM. Most of them are strong militants of the CPDM. And that is why there are persons that during the day you may see them with the regalia of SDF. But the day of voting, they are voting CPDM. The moment CPDM comes and says, okay, this is rice, this is Maggi, this is granite oil. In fact, the last election, they came with sardine. As you are eating sardine, you are eating bread, you are so happy, your stomach is full, you go for CPDM. That is why I always say that the opposition parties, we need one opposition party in this country. These 36 parties, we don't need them. They should come together. We should have one political party as opposition. And they go for 2026 or 2025 presidential election. It should be CPDM and another party. Two parties are going for an election. Look at a country of 25 million persons, we have about 36 political parties.
But 36, 300 and...
But in 2018, it wasn't a landslide victory against the MRC. They were this close to winning.
How close?
What was the percentage?
How close? They were not close. Look at the percentage.
Are you talking of 78?
78
12
against 12. Was it even 12? It wasn't up to 12.
Anyways, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. We bring you to the second talking point. We have a lot of reactions. Thank you, dear viewers, for liking or picking interest in what my panelists here are saying. Even for those of you who seem to have contrary views or voices as opposed to what they are saying, thank you, and we hope that we find time in the course of the program before we actually drop the curtains to reading out some of your messages. Yesterday we had the Chiefs Palace at Boassa, the put down by fire, burned by unknown gunmen, whom so many people say allegedly are separatist fighters, and this has actually caused a lot of panic and stirred a lot of fear, since there was a warning note, a dreadful note that was written to the people of the Boassa community. And we all know that the chief of the Boassa community, known by his name, Chief Eko John, popularly known as Chief Moja Moja, has been with the SED in Yaoundé. And this has left the community a little bit vulnerable, because many people had thought and many people had seen him to be the mother hen of that community. And now the community is actually vulnerable, and due to the arson attack yesterday, many people have been vacating the community. We have videos of so many inhabitants of the community packing and seeking to find refuge in other parts of the southwest region. Mr. Sama, I think I'm going to begin with you on this. Anytime an arson attack takes place, or anytime stuff like this happens, it is always labeled as unknown gunmen, even when the print, the footprint, the handwriting is very visual on the wall. What would you say? Is it high time that we start calling names? Is it high time that we start staring the truth in the face?
Mabel, there is no secret. I watched the videos that you just made allusion to, and there was a threat note pasted on one of the walls of the building, and that it is Ambazonian fighters from ADF faction, and they posted a piece of cloth that resembles the Ambazonian flag, blue stripes and white stripes. Whether that was staged by some other persons in order to give a dog a bad name, but the ADF or Ambazonian fighters up to now, I have not read anywhere that there is a disclaimer that we are not responsible and we are just being tapped in order to give us a bad name. Rather, Ambazonians would rather find comfort in this action, whether perpetrated by them or by some other unknown third party, but they would very much want to take credit for it, given that Moja, His Highness Moja had been declared as a #1 enemy of the Ambazonian project. It is not, nobody is hiding it. Ambazonian had placed a price tag on his head severally, and he had openly declared his hatred and disgust for them. He had declared them his enemies, and they too had acknowledged it and had declared him a wanted person. So it is no surprise whether that act was carried out by them or not, or by some other person, but it gives credit to them, and I'm sure they will not hastily write a disclaimer that we are not the ones, because rather it would instead play into their favor to show that they have access and that they can have access to their enemies and their targets at any time. It's unfortunate because it is thanks to Moja that Buea is experiencing a semblance of relative calm and peace. Some people will not like me for saying so, but it is thanks to Ekema Patrick that Buea was able to have a semblance of peace relative to other places. It is thanks to the aggressiveness of the governor of the Southwest that Buea has had a semblance of peace and relative security more than other places. Relative, I should say. Not normalcy, as some people claim, but relative. That we can be here at this hour in this studio and 90% sure that we will leave from here and walk to our homes. In Bamenda, by 5:30, everybody is running helter-skelter. By 6 p.m., you don't meet anybody in Bamenda in the streets of the town. Interurban agency buses leave their agencies latest 4:30 now in Bamenda. So we have a semblance of relative peace thanks to the cumulative actions, though at times inhuman, without a sense of human rights, by these three personalities that I've named. And so as much as he was acting out of order, he was acting ultra-virus and with impunity and with so much abuse of human rights, he played his cards and played his part in securing the town that he believes is his own, Buea. He came out in very infamous instances, said some very xenophobic things against my people, people of the Northwest region, whom he expressed that he didn't like because they were pro-Amba. But that was his own choice. Maybe there's something I've never shared with you. People make choices by conviction and stand by them.
And xenophobia?
No. People make choices by conviction and stand by them. Let me tell you, there is this extremist Ambazonian activist, Ayabacho. Somebody told me a story about that gentleman. Maybe it would interest you. That far back in 2011, when she gave birth to her last child in Norway, Ayabacho came to the hospital, to the maternity ward, and the gift he had for the child, who was still in the
baby's court
in the court was an Amazonian flag. 2011. 2011. We're not talking about 2016. 2011. So you see some people who are into something out of conviction because they believe that this is truly what I believe in, and they stand for it. And that was the caliber of person Ekema Patrick was, and that is who Moja Moja has chosen to be. Unfortunately, out of his own misgivings, he is where he is. But I can't celebrate it. And I can't be one of those who will celebrate that more pepper has been added to his injury by burning his house. It's unfortunate that at a time when we think that people are gradually coming back to some sense of humanism, and where government ought to have been doing much to protect its own. Maybe one of the cries of those who have been listed as blacklegs over the years, blacklegs who have been denouncing Ambazonianism and reporting, exposing Amba fighters, one of their cries has been that they don't receive protection from the government that they defend so well. Government ought to have known that Moja Moja, having been target person number 1 to Amba fighters, his palace will be vulnerable.
Now they would have discharged some elements of security.
We have seen security apparels and security men guarding the homes of other persons in other places. Okay. So it's unfortunate that he, maybe because of where he has landed himself, didn't have that privilege treatment. But I think that I feel his pain, because even without being an Amazonian or without being pro-government, I feel everybody's pains, especially in this crisis.
You are very close to that locality or to that community, as somebody who is, in the heartbeat of Tole. Do you think this is perpetrated by a third hand, or this is maneuvered by the separatist fighters?
From the video you were mentioning, it was clear ADF, the Amazonian Defense Force. But my point of interest here is His Royal Highness Chief Eko John, who is as of now a traditional ruler, did not respect the African institution of chieftaincy. What do I say? He was supposed to be a neutral person. But because of the neo-colonialist idea that we as Africans have embedded, the imported ideas we have embedded, and we can no longer protect what is ours, he took this authority which he had as an addition as a military man and made sarcastic statements and committed offenses which were against life which is sacred.
Now, by neutral, what are we looking at here? He would not have meddled into protecting citizens and making Buea a safe haven?
Maybe what do you mean by protecting person where he had an army without the order of the state, which he was a military official? He had civilians with guns. He had his own say. He had more than 7 charges from lawyers, human rights defenders. I am saying this. I am not in support of burning the palace because I am an African. The palace is sacred in the African tradition. Whosoever did this, the person did not do well, or the group of persons were wrong. But I am saying that these things are happening. To every action, there is a reaction. To every action, there is a reaction. So, His Royal Highness Chief Eko John Ewome, to me, bit more than he could chew in his act as a military man and as a chief.
Let us look at some of the things that he did. Are you saying that
the sarcastic statement,
taking away the xenophobic statements? Which good did he do to the Buea municipality?
My bad.
If Mr. Sama is saying that there was relative peace and normalcy, don't you think that he deserves some accolades?
My bad, to me, I think the relative peace is thanks to the cooperation of civilians, thanks to cooperation of civilians, or the aspect of people wanting to live their lives the way they have been living, not because of an individual.
And why can that not be done in Bamenda?
Yes.
You think in Bamenda, the denizens there would not want to choose to live their lives?
No, not that.
Don't you think in Boya it is we have this guts because some people have actually gone ahead of the road to make sure
we are found in a cultural zone, and the aspect in the northwest, the people have a more conviction to even to the tradition and to what they believe. Even in Christianity, you will find it that the people of the northwest, in anything that they engage in, they do it with conviction, with passion, with all honesty. That is why we are suffering this in the northwest, because of the cultural inheritance of the people. They are very strong-hearted people in terms of their belief and their conviction. We are talking about in the southwest, even in the chieftaincy aspect, we can see it clearly. Even in the administration dabbling into affairs of the tradition, it is clear. Okay. But in that aspect, it is rare in the northwest and other areas who respect cultural heritage and their dignity. That is where we have a problem.
Mr. Pascal, judging from what Mr. Ikane here is saying, it's like saying good riddance for bad rubbish to the face of the chief who is under custody in Yaoundé. All of this has happened. A group of persons went out and perpetrated this evil. Let us look at the community, the innocent community. Now, why make a community target when a chief took out, came out in the open to try to disarm the Ambazonian movement? So where did this community go wrong? Okay, if you think the way of proper reimbursement or retribution is burning down the palace, don't you think you've done enough? Why should the inhabitants of that community be targets even after that act?
Yes, Mabel, I think we have not come here to praise or condemn the actions and omissions of His Royal Majesty Chief Ewome Ekojon. We are trying to look at the act that was carried out, and that is arson, burning down the palace. First, it is a criminal offense under the Cameroon Penal Code, and so we cannot celebrate that. It will mean that we are giving our support to illegality. So we are not going to celebrate that because it is a criminal offense. But just like what the other speakers have said, looking at the role that the chief played as far as protecting the Buea municipality is concerned, I want to say that he tried. He played his role of protecting. But Buea is relatively calm, not thanks to him alone. Just like Mr. Sama said, I think a big thank you is to the governor of the region. Because the chief doesn't go to Limbe, and Limbe is very calm compared to Buea. The chief doesn't go there. Now, looking at the act itself,
don't you think it's because Limbe is heavily militarized?
That is the same thing we are saying. It is not thanks to him. That's what we are saying. And even the Buea, it is thanks to the role played by the soldiers. Because when we give all the credit to him, we downplay the role of the soldiers. We downplay the role of the soldiers. And so the soldiers, the mayor, especially the former Lord Mayor, and the governor, they have played a very great role, and they are still playing as far as the relative calmness is concerned. Now, when we talk about attacking the village, is it right? It is not right. For now, we do not know those who are responsible. They left a flag. Anybody can leave that flag. I mean, you can carry the flag, you can attack somewhere and leave that flag there. No group has come up openly, officially, to claim responsibility. The ADF too has not issued any disclaimer. They may want to take the credit. But attacking the community is wrong. But if I'm to look at the spirit behind their intention, I may say that they are looking at the community of the chief as being part of the chief. It is like somebody gets you well beaten, and you go to the house to attack the person, and the person is not around. You don't know when you start getting the children well beaten, because you believe that if I get the children well beaten, after all, it is your father who got me well beaten. As a traditional ruler, you are the custodian of the customs and traditions. You are considered the father of the village.
I think this is where I'll have to ask you. So, are you in other way, or were you about to say that he shouldn't have meddled in the affairs, in the nasty affairs of Ambazonian, and he should have been neutral, as one of the speakers had earlier said, as possible?
I think that I wouldn't want to go that way. I want to look at his line of duty. I think
in addition to being a traditional ruler, he was a soldier.
Yes, he was a soldier, and he has a duty
to protect. And again, I do not think, just excuse me, Doc, I do not think that Moja was acting the way he acted without the blessing of his hierarchy.
Yes.
Hierarchy definitely either decided to be complacent or complicit by allowing him to arm his own militia, that he could take. Where did he get the guns from to give civilians to be moving with him? Where did he get the guns? Did he get were those guns licensed? So I want to think that as much as I still say that he actually contributed his own part to the relative security that we experience now, he strayed out of the line repeatedly, and unfortunately, those for whom he fought are the same ones who have now taken advantage of his flops and have landed him where he is, and unfortunately could not provide his property the security that he deserved at this time. Now, just excuse me, Doc. I'm sure maybe we'll kindly take part of my period, my space, and give you back. Now, you asked, should the villagers suffer for the crimes, for the sins, the anti-Ambazonian sins of their chief? Definitely, by every logic of right reasoning and good judgment, no. A child cannot suffer the sins of the father. But we have seen the same government operated under the same modus operandi. The same Moja, unfortunately, picked up a pregnant woman simply on the suspicion that, or the knowledge that that woman was the ex-girlfriend of an Ambazonian fighter. And that girl spent months in jail. Without any criminal link of hers being established, even by the courts. We have seen government burn down villages in search of Ambazonian fighters. And you go and you say, because this village is an Ambazonian village, or it is playing host to Ambazonian fighters, they raise down villages. It has happened in the Northwest. It has happened in the South. So many villages were raised in those early days. And so the Ambazonian fighter, and let me even tell you, I don't know whether up to now, the family of Amba General Nopiti, whether his mother, the father, and the uncle, and the other siblings have been released because they were arrested. That government was searching for him, so they arrested his family. And that was why there was a retaliation where the phone of Bambalang was also kidnapped. That, okay, until his family members are released, they will not release the phone. So you have found such things. And so, but from what I saw on that note, they didn't say we are coming back for the villagers. They said we are coming back for black legs in the village. Black legs. And that term, black leg, is a specific term. It connotes a specific group of people that Amba boys think are against them. Which means that they will definitely have their list of people that they are targeting. Even in Moyoka or in villages where Amba is still very active, they do not just go for everybody. They pick those that they call blacklegs. Even in those areas where military is, military does not just go out now after a very long time of reflection. Does not just go out and shooting everybody indiscriminately. They go for targeted arrest and kill it. And so, on that note, if I actually saw it well, it didn't say we are coming back for the villagers. We are coming back for the black legs in the village.
No, but how would you know that you are going to be safe from the claws of them?
We are now saying that those who wrote that note definitely know the characteristics and the criteria of the people they are looking for. They are not just going for everybody. It's not like some military kale. No. They are going to look for the people because they actually said black legs. And black leg is an appellation for a particular group of people. I just think that it's unfair and it's unsafe that such a thing is happening. And I just pray that those who are behind it would have a rethink, especially not at this time when we are, as a teacher, we are gearing up for a resumption of another school year. At the time when the governor came back from Yaoundé and said, I followed his outing to pressmen where he said outrightly that he gets annoyed when journalists and people still keep talking about insecurity in the Southwest. The Southwest does not have a problem of insecurity, and when you see such things still happening, I don't know whether this is a gala visit or some safari trip that resulted in some fire accident, because where a whole palace in a remote village like Boassa, where you have to pass through Bokwango or you pass through Tole or you come from Mapanja and the other areas to access it, it means that people are not secure. And when people are not secure, we define it in one word as what? Insecurity. And so when the government said there is no insecurity problem, I find it disastrous.
Okay. So, okay, maybe just like I was saying before, the beautiful contributions from Mr. Sama, I was saying that when you look at the spirit of their intention, that is how they look at it. That is the father of the community. If we don't get him, we can get the supposed black legs.
Now, are we validating that?
Nobody
what I'm saying is that it is illegal. We're looking at the spirit, we're looking at the reason why they made such statements. But we are saying that it is incorrect because criminal responsibility is individual. There is what we call individual criminal responsibility. What does that mean? It means that you who has committed the offense must stand trial. It is not another person. If you commit an offense, it means you carry out the acts or the omissions and you intended the result, which has now accomplished it, then you must be tried. Not your father, not your mother. There is nothing we call vicarious criminal responsibility. It is personal. And so if the supposed unknown gunmen think that the chief has committed some crimes
against them,
and I don't think they are in a position to even define what is a crime. It is a state that defines what is a crime and if someone has committed a crime. But if they think that the chief has committed some crimes against them, by fighting them, by countering their measures, then I think they should look for the chief. Even though I don't validate that, but if it comes to the worst, they should look for the chief and not the villagers. Because now that action has caused a lot of persons to run away from that village. So most of them now are internally displaced persons. Because most have run away. Some are going to Douala, some are going to Yaoundé, some are even coming to Boyaye to live with their relatives and all that. It has distorted their activities. I don't think that is the best. So what I'm saying here is that the act of burning the palace is illegal. Because the palace, per Cameroonian law, if you look at the ordinance, the land tenure ordinance, or the various ordinance in 1974, the traditional ruler's palace is state land. It is state land. It does not even belong to the traditional ruler. It does not belong to him. It is state land. So I don't think that
that is treason to some extent.
I don't get that.
Is that treason to some
Not really. It is arson because they have burned down the building.
Okay, let us
And attacking the villagers is equally, or threatening to attack the villagers is equally illegal. Okay. Because that is what we call threat, and threat is a criminal offense.
Now we have a lot of villagers who are vacating, and some of them, in fact, Boassa is in a pressure pot. There is going to be a distortion in daily livings. People are going to, run away, and, just like Mr. Pascal said, others will find peace or solace in the arms of other relatives, far and near, and all of that. Where do you think government can intervene? And do you think that the government failed? There's no better way to say it. Do you think the government failed Chief Eko John, popularly known as Moja Moja, at the time where he was fighting for the interest of the state and endeavoring that the Ambazonian force be swept away?
Maybe to respond to that question, I want first to make a clarification. When they say the chief was working with them, moving with them, civilians with gun, was that gun legal? Was that gun licensed? Were the hierarchy in order with that guns? I want to make it clear they were not in order. Those are one of his crimes that he has been taken by the special gendarmerie segment, they said. And we should equally note here that as a traditional ruler, the state has not failed because he is under the custody of the state for crimes against the state, which is they are investigating.
But we are talking about protecting his properties and his people.
Yes, Mabel.
Protecting his properties and his people for a cause that even the government, he joined government in fighting a cause.
Yes, he did. But I am saying it is happening out of gross exaggeration, which you said the government has not failed in protecting his property
and his people.
The people are protected. The problem here is, will the act that happened was a surprise, and the military cannot be everywhere at the same time. A thief can come. They have attacked even the senior divisional, they have attacked the governors. These attacks have been very, very real. So we are not saying that the government abandoned the chief, no, or the people of Boassa. As we are talking, you might be interested to know that some security measure must have been taken to counter any occurrence again. So the government is not neglecting or has not neglected. But what you said, the government has failed in an extent not to have managed the crisis till this level.
By the crisis, what are you talking about?
I'm talking the Anglophone crisis, the ADF, Moja Moja attacks. That is what I'm talking. Because the government has not been proactive. The government has been interested in window dressing activity that some people are suffering.
Okay, so but you're saying that if it were properly managed, yes, it would not have gotten to this point.
Yes, that is why I am not for the fact that the act of the Ambazonia is correct or was correct. I am not in support of it. But I am saying, the government has abandoned. No, the government has not. Neither the people of Boassa.
What security measures do you think at this point should be in the wake for the Boassa people, Mr. Pascal?
I think that the governor should be able to send forces, the law enforcement officers, they should be able to send law enforcement officers to that village. They should be there. If they can even get a kind of a barrack, a military barrack just around there, I think it will be a good action. The only problem may be the sustainability. But if they can get a military barrack around there, I think it will provide some security or sense of security to the villagers. Because most of them are running away and they don't see that protection. They think that they can be attacked at any time. And so if the government should send the law enforcement officers or soldiers or the B, if they should be there and there is a military barrack, of course, it will create that sense of security and they will be able to stay in the village. If not, they will have to move. Just like what he said, it is difficult for the state to protect every chief palace or every palace in the country. It is very difficult. I mean, how many chief palaces do we have in Cameroon?
But what about the ones that are most vulnerable?
When you say those are most vulnerable,
prone to danger,
I think that every chief palace in the northwest and southwest region is very vulnerable now.
okay.
So, and the state cannot protect it, because even in my village, the chief palace should be protected. There is a Cameroonian flag there, green, red, yellow. It can be attacked at any time. The palaces in the northwest region, just like Mr. Sama said, the insecurity there is alarming. So, if the state should send the soldiers to every other palace in this country, it will not be that possible. If they should send to the palace of His Royal Majesty Chief Ewome, it would be as if they are giving him some special protection, as if they are treating more.
Which is not wrong, because not every chief has been in the.
That's why I'm saying that it can come now as a protective measure.
Do you think there is no gainsaying that he has not been just like every ordinary chief? He has been at the forefront championing normalcy and making sure that the whole Ambazonian idea and ideology philosophy is eroded. So I think that he is deserving, or his people are deserving, of a particular protection. Don't you think so?
I think that most traditional rulers in the country, they are playing a great role.
Okay.
To ensure that the country remains one and indivisible.
Okay, I think there was going to be a question, Mr.
Yes, I wanted to make this clarification. It will not be proper. It will not be right for palaces to be protected by the military, because to my own knowledge, I think, it's my opinion, these palaces should be free for whosoever to enter and put your points to the chief. The chief is as the father of the village. To me, I don't see, my problem here is the aspect of the chiefs being taking side in a particular position.
Or political issues.
Yes, of political issue. That means the chief, I am saying this as an African. I grew up in the northwest and I'm in the southwest. I've been in mastered, I've read so much about the African chieftaincy, and to me, guarding or a chief taking a military position, to me, is somehow desecrating, because by spelling out your duty, you must engage in things that would tamper with the gods might even leave you, because this is against our custom and tradition. The chief should be neutral.
Okay, so are you saying a chief cannot be a banker, a journalist, and all
a
of
chief
that?
can be a banker.
We have educated chiefs.
Yes,
so
I'm
what
not
is wrong with the
disputing the
chief?
fact. I'm saying the chief should not be apolitical until taking. A chief should welcome politicians, and he should not be outspoken to say, I am a CPDM. When everyone want to hold rally or another party want to hold, you are against it. We are saying the chief should, a chief in any village should take upon himself to respect anybody that comes into the palace. He should not take a stand that will be against another indigent in that village. That is my stake.
Mr. Sama, I
so
think
police coming or military men coming to protect a palace will not be good. It will not be.
I'm voting on him, I'm sorry. Let me tell you that by the 1977 law on chieftaincy in this country, traditional rulers are auxiliaries of the administration. Which means that,
please, just 1 minute. That is why I said imported neo-colonialist law.
Which means that a traditional chiefdom or fondom is not a state within a state. It is an auxiliary to the administration. So it is subservient to the administration.
I am not disputing. That is my point of criticizing.
Now, if you accept that, then you must also now see the fact, or you now see justification in the fact that a chief takes instructions from administration, helps administration to carry out its republican functions. And that is why, let me tell you, the palace of the chief of AY is one of the 22 villages that make up Batibo subdivision, my subdivision. His palace was razed down by Ambazonian fighters because they said he was collaborating. We have seen palaces, the most sacred palace of Bafut which is almost being considered as a UNESCO World Heritage Site because of the infrastructure, was raised down at some point by military. Military raised part of it, attacked it. But the fund has been there till today. Fonabumbi has never left Bafut. Now, what am I saying?
Prosama,
you find the chiefs.
My problem
Hold on.
My problem is we should look at the ancestral heritage of the chieftaincy. We should not look at it that is the originality of it. We consider chiefs in Africa as demigods. As people who are not you. That is my point.
Can I talk now?
Yes.
Now you find a situation where the chiefs are caught between two evils, two dangers. The danger of Ambazonian fighters who say you are a black leg, like Moja now is. And the danger of the fun of Bafut, for example, soldiers say that because you have not run away like the others have run away, it means that you are collaborating with the boys. And they raise your palace. Let me tell you again why I said that it is not an abnormality for us to ask government to offer a minimum of security to Moja.
Just him, or is it the people?
No, I mean him, his property, and his community. Let me tell you that there was a time when the women of Babanki women in Tuba subdivision rose up against Amazonian fighters. They got women in that community, paraded them, beat them up. And the fund requested for the installation of a military base in his village, in Babanki.
Not in the palace.
In the village. I was not. We are talking of, it is for the protection of the palace and the village and the villagers.
So if you are protecting a village.
So what we are saying is, having stood out in open face without a mask, Moja was not putting on a mask. He was in his open face and said, it is me, Moja. I am doing this and I am fighting for the government. So he made himself vulnerable for the sake of the government. Let me tell you that I have a university friend.
The program.
Yes, I have a university friend who is a lecturer in the university who has crafted a word in his vocabulary. And when he's teaching and the students become naughty, he says, I will modularize you. I will modularize you in this class. Which means that the word moja and his role, his impact, had gained some leverage because of what he was doing.
No, but it comes with a bad connotation.
I'm not.
But don't you think that comes with a bad connotation?
No.
I am saying
that our
discipline should be accepting this person, listening, and accepting this person and listening. All of them are citizens of Cameroon, whether BU and Ambazonia, all of them are citizens in Cameroon.
So what's your point exactly?
My point, no chief, whether a Fon or a Lamido, should take a position that will be against another indigene of that village.
So, by another indigene, whom are you referring to?
I am saying chief should be neutral.
He was against a movement.
A movement.
And not an indigene.
Yes, and a movement whom you find some of your indigene part of it.
Okay. And so, if your indigenes get into illegality and terrorism, should you be indifferent?
Okay, now
as a custodian of
Mr. Pascal, we are ending the program. We are ending the program in just a few seconds.
If chiefs can,
my airtime is over, gentlemen.
Chiefs can give them the two parties this opportunity to come and sit and talk in his presence. I think would have gotten a better solution of this thing.
And that is not a cosmetic solution.
That is not a cosmetic solution. That is a reality.
Mr. Pascal, we have touched on the extension and now the Moja's heated debate. What do you have to say as conclusion to all of this? It has been an amazing time having you on set.
Okay, thank you very much, Mabel. I'm very happy to have been on this platform, especially with Mr. Sama and Mr. Diodone. What I want to say is about the extension, and I would like to conclude that even though the extension finds some justifications in the Constitution, it has exposed or even further exposed the state of Cameroon that they are not prepared. And I will say that we do not have any opposition party as of now. We don't need 36 parties going for a presidential election. Just like I said, and Mr. Sama was talking about 300. Yes, we have more than 300, but we should not have 36 going for a presidential election. We need a single opposition party to achieve the change we need.
Thank you so much. To you, Mr. Ikana, maybe you want to give your conclusion remark based on the Moja issue.
Well, much has been said. Chiefs, you are our fathers in the villages. Let's be responsible enough to welcome our children, the bad, the good, and the ugly. It is your responsibility to show us the light, what is wrong and what is right. Let's stop mingling in politics and other administrative affairs that would cause you to be in loggerhead with the people in the community. That's my candidate.
Thank you. And to you, Mr. Sama?
We continue to live in the wilderness. The burning of the palace is one more act of savagery too many. The continuous killings of civilians and soldiers is one more too many. I pray for Cameroonians and those who are risking and staking their lives so that some of us can sleep with our two eyes closed, sleep and snore. Moja, my younger brother and my chief, I still pray for you even if I had differences with you. Inshallah.
Thank you so much. It has been an amazing time in your presence, gentlemen. Thank you for taking the time out to be here this evening. And to you, my amazing viewers, I noticed all the calls, the messages, and we are promising that we are going to be reading them in our very next edition. And the next edition promises to be as weighty, as glamorous, and we are bringing all the pomp, the peasantry, all the fun and everything juicy on our very next outing. Until next time, be in the company of all the programs that are going to be up on High Television. Good night.